Welcome back, everyone, to the Gold IRA Blueprint. Today we're going deep on gold IRAs with a special focus on Patriot Gold Group.
It's all about giving you the tools and knowledge to make smart decisions about your retirement, especially as you get closer to those golden years.
Yeah, and to help with that, we've got a free checklist for you guys. It's over at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. It's going to help you compare and really evaluate different gold IRA companies. So make sure you grab that. All right.
Yeah.
So Patriot Gold Group, what makes them stand out in this world of gold IRAs?
Well, one of the first things I notice is their history. I mean, they've been around since 1986,
Oh, wow.
which, really speaks to their stability and experience.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Especially in the financial world, you want someone you can trust, someone who's been around for a while.
absolutely. And, longevity's great, but it's not everything, right? What about their
Um,
reputation?
yeah, for sure. What's our track record like?
Well, they've got an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, which is a really strong sign that they're committed to ethical business practices and keeping their customers happy.
Yeah, and that tracks with what I saw. So I was looking at Trustpilot and Consumer Affairs, and people are consistently praising the representatives.
Mm.
They're saying they're knowledgeable, they communicate clearly, and they're just super helpful.
It seems like they really put a lot of emphasis on building good relationships with their clients, which is so important when you're dealing with something as important as retirement savings. You want to feel confident and supported every step of the way.
For sure. For sure. Okay, so we've talked about their experience, we've talked about their reputation, but what about the services they actually offer? How do they actually help people set up and manage a gold IRA?
It's kind of
Mm.
like building blocks. They've got a range of services that can meet all sorts of different needs and levels of experience.
I like the building blocks analogy. Makes it feel less overwhelming,
Right.
like you're choosing the right pieces to put together a really solid structure.
Exactly. So the first building block is obviously the gold and silver IRAs. This is where you're actually holding physical gold or silver in your IRA account.
Okay, now why would someone choose to hold physical gold or silver instead of something more traditional like stocks and bonds?
That's a great question, and it really comes down to diversification and hedging against risk. Historically, gold has been considered a safe haven asset, particularly during times of economic uncertainty.
Right, and we hear a lot about gold being a hedge against inflation. What does that actually mean?
Sure. So inflation, it erodes the purchasing power of your money over time, right? But gold historically has tended to hold its value even when paper money is declining. So by adding gold to your portfolio, you're potentially protecting your savings from the erosive effects of inflation.
Right, so it's about preserving the value of your hard-earned money,
Mm-hmm.
especially as you get closer to retirement and you need that money to last.
Exactly. And it's not just about inflation. Gold has shown a low correlation with traditional assets like stocks and bonds, meaning its price movements don't always match up with those markets.
So if the stock market takes a hit, gold might hold steady or even go up,
Yeah.
which could offset some of those losses.
Exactly. It can help reduce the overall volatility of your portfolio and potentially lead to better returns over the long run.
Okay, so that gold IRA piece of the puzzle,
Mm-hmm.
it brings some peace of mind knowing that a portion of your savings is in something tangible, something that has historically held its value.
Absolutely. It's about adding another layer of security and stability to your retirement plan.
So gold and silver IRAs, that's the first building block. What's next?
Next up is rollover IRA facilitation. They help you move funds from an existing retirement account like a 401k or a traditional IRA into a gold IRA.
I imagine that can be pretty complicated, especially if you're not super familiar with all the ins and outs of retirement accounts.
Oh, yeah, it can be. There's paperwork regulations, potential tax implications. It can get messy.
So having a company like Patriot Gold Group to guide you through all that must be really helpful.
It is. They've got a whole team of experts who specialize in these rollovers. They handle the paperwork, they make sure you're compliant with all the IRS rules, and they answer any questions you might have along the way.
That's got to take a huge weight off your shoulders.
Absolutely. Speaking of experts, that's another key building block that Patriot Gold Group provides. They really emphasize the importance of personalized advice throughout the entire process.
Which makes sense. I mean, precious metals, it's like a whole different world compared to traditional investments.
It can be.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to have someone knowledgeable on your side. Their team includes people with degrees in finance, economics, business management. They really know their stuff when it comes to the precious metals market.
So they're not just trying to sell you something, they're actually helping you understand your options, make smart decisions, and develop a strategy that actually fits with your retirement goal.
Exactly. It's about giving you the power to take control of your financial future.
I love that. Before we move on, I want to remind everyone about that free checklist we mentioned earlier. If you're finding this info helpful and you want a tool to compare different Gold IRA companies, head over to goldirblueprint.com for all exclusive and grab your copy. It's full of tips, questions to ask, and factors to consider when you're making this big decision.
Definitely a great resource to have as you're exploring your options.
Okay, so we've got the first three building blocks down: gold and silver IRAs, rollover facilitation, and expert guidance. What's the final piece?
The final piece is bullion sales. This is where you can directly invest in physical gold and silver bars or coins, even if you're not setting up a full gold IRA.
Okay, so even if someone just wants to buy some gold or silver as a long-term investment or a hedge against inflation, they can do that through Patriot Gold Group.
That's right. They offer a wide selection of bullion products, including popular gold coins like American Eagles, Canadian Maple Leafs, Krugerrands.
I've heard of those coins, but I don't really know the difference. Why would someone choose one over the other?
Well, each coin has its own story and its own characteristics that might appeal to different investors. American Eagles, for example, they're known for their liquidity. They're widely recognized and traded, so it's pretty easy to buy or sell them if you need to.
So if someone wants flexibility, they might choose American Eagles.
Exactly. Canadian Maple Leafs, on the other hand, they're famous for their purity. They've got a higher gold content than a lot of other bullion coins, which can be attractive to investors who really care about the intrinsic value of the metal.
Interesting. So it's almost like different grades of gold with different levels of purity. What about Krugerrands? What's special about them?
Krugerrands have got a cool history. They were first minted in South Africa back in 1967, and they quickly became popular all over the world. They're known for being durable, they've got a unique design, and they're recognized internationally.
Sounds like there's a lot to think about when you're choosing what type of gold to buy. It's almost like choosing a fine wine. There are subtle differences, unique characteristics, and personal preferences.
That's a great analogy, and it highlights how important it is to work with a company that can really walk you through those nuances and help you choose the products that actually align with what you're trying to achieve.
For sure. So we've covered those four building blocks: gold and silver IRAs, rollover facilitation, expert guidance, and bullion sales. It sounds like Patriot Gold Group really is committed to providing personalized support every step of the way.
They are, and that's a big part of what sets them apart in the gold IRA industry. They understand that this is a big decision for people, and they really make the process as smooth and transparent and empowering as possible.
We've been talking about all the different services the Patriot Gold Group offers, but let's shift gears a little bit and talk about why someone might choose them specifically. Why Patriot Gold Group over any of the other gold IRA providers out there? What are some of the things that really make them stand out?
You hit the nail on the head earlier when you mentioned their team's expertise having individuals with backgrounds in finance, economics, business management. That really sets them apart. It really shows a commitment to providing sound advice and helping clients navigate this market that can be pretty complex.
Yeah, it's funny when I think about gold, I think about, its history and its significance almost like a collector's item.
Yeah.
But you're reminding me that it's also a serious investment and you need to understand the market and really carefully consider your options.
Exactly. It's fascinating and it's financially strategic, and that's where Patriot Gold Group's diverse product selection comes in. They offer such a wide range of gold and silver products to meet all these different investment goals and risk tolerances.
We touched on this a little bit earlier, but I'd love to dig a little deeper into the different product options. For example, what makes American Eagles, Canadian Maple Leafs, and Krugerrands unique? Why would someone choose one over the other?
Well, each of those coins has its own story and its own characteristics that might appeal to different investors. American Eagles, for example, are known for their liquidity. They're widely recognized and traded, so it's pretty easy to buy or sell them if you need to.
So if someone's looking for flexibility, American Eagles might be a good option.
Precisely. Canadian Maple Leafs, on the other hand, are really well known for their purity. They have a higher gold content than a lot of other bullion coins, which is appealing to investors who are really focused on that intrinsic value of the metal.
So almost like choosing between different grades of gold, each with its own level of purity. That's interesting. What about Krugerrands? What sets them apart?
Krugerrands, they have a really interesting history. They were first minted in South Africa back in 1967, and they quickly gained popularity worldwide. They're known for their durability, their distinctive design, and their international recognition.
It's almost like choosing a fine wine. There are these subtle differences, unique characteristics, and a certain level of personal preference involved.
That's a fantastic analogy, and it really highlights the importance of working with a company that can guide you through those nuances and help you choose the products that really align with your investment goals.
Let's talk about secure storage, because that's absolutely crucial when you're dealing with physical assets like gold and silver. What does Patriot Gold Group offer in terms of storage options?
This is an area where they really shine. They understand that security is so important for their clients' peace of mind. They've partnered with some really reputable firms like Brinks Global and Delaware Depository that are known for their high security vaults and comprehensive insurance coverage.
Drinks? Yeah, of course. I mean, they have a long-standing reputation for security and trustworthiness.
Mhm.
I'm not as familiar with Delaware Depository. What can you tell us about them?
Delaware Depository is a leading provider of these secure storage solutions for precious metals. They operate state-of-the-art facilities with multiple layers of security, including armed guards, surveillance systems, and very strict access controls. They also provide insurance coverage to protect your investments against, theft damage or other unforeseen events.
So they've really taken every precaution to ensure that their clients' precious metals are safe.
They really have, and that level of security is so important when you're dealing with assets as valuable as gold and silver.
Now let's be realistic for a minute. No investment is without risk. What are some of the potential risks to consider when investing in gold and silver, even with a reputable company like Patriot Gold Group?
That's a really important point to bring up. Gold and silver have historically been seen as safe haven assets, but just like any investment, their prices can fluctuate. Factors like geopolitical events, economic conditions, even just investor sentiment can impact their value.
So it's important to understand that there's no guarantee of returns, and
No.
gold and silver prices can go down as well as up.
Absolutely. It's really important to have a long-term perspective and to be prepared for some potential market volatility. Another factor to consider is the cost of storage and shipping.
Right. Those are expenses that you can't really avoid when you're dealing with physical assets.
They are. And those costs can vary depending on the storage facility, the type of storage you choose, and how often you're buying or selling. So it's important to factor these costs into your overall investment strategy.
I imagine Patriot Gold Group would be upfront about those costs so clients can make informed decisions.
Oh, absolutely. Transparency is a core value for them. They're going to give you a clear breakdown of all the fees and expenses associated with your gold IRA or your bullion purchase.
That's good to know. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of setting up a gold IRA, I want to remind our listeners about that free checklist we created to help you guys on this journey. It's over at golderablueprint.com. For exclusive, it's packed with information tips and key questions to ask potential providers. So don't miss out on this valuable tool.
It's a great way to stay organized and make sure you're covering all your bases.
So let's say someone has weighed the benefits and the risks, and they've decided that a gold IRA is right for them. What are the steps involved in actually setting up an account with Patriot Gold Group?
The first step is simple. You just reach out to them. You can call them, send an email, or fill out the contact form on their website.
Okay, and then what happened?
One of their experienced representatives will reach out to schedule a personalized consultation with you.
I'm sensing a theme here. Personalized service seems to be a real hallmark of Patriot Gold Group.
It really is. They understand that every client is unique. Everyone has their own financial goals, risk tolerance, and investment timeline. So that initial consultation is all about understanding your needs and tailoring their recommendations to fit your specific situation.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Not at all. They take the time to get to know you, answer all your questions, and really explain the different options that are available.
Okay, so you've had your consultation, you're feeling good about moving forward with a gold IRA. What's the next step?
The next step is choosing a custodian. Now remember, a custodian is a financial institution that's responsible for holding and administering your IRA assets. Patriot Gold Group works with several reputable custodians who specialize in self-directed IRAs, including those precious metals IRAs.
So they're not acting as the custodian themselves.
No, they partner with these established custodians to make sure your assets are handled properly and securely.
So there's an extra layer of protection and oversight.
Exactly. And they'll walk you through the process of choosing a custodian that meets your needs and aligns with your investment goals.
Now, we talked about rollovers earlier. Can you explain how that works in the context of setting up a gold IRA? Let's say someone has an existing 401k or a traditional IRA that they want to roll over into a gold IRA. How does that process play out?
That's a very common scenario, and Patriot Gold Group is very experienced in handling it. Essentially, they work with you and the custodian to make sure the transfer of funds from your existing retirement account into your new gold IRA is seamless.
I'm sure there's paperwork involved.
There is, but Patriot Gold Group will guide you through every step of the way, making sure everything is filled out correctly and submitted on time. They'll coordinate with the custodian to make sure that transfer goes smoothly.
So it's a hands-on approach. They really take the burden off the client.
They do. They make the whole process as stress-free as possible so you can focus on your investment goals.
Okay, so you've chosen the custodian. You've started the rollover process. What happens next?
Now comes the exciting part. Buying the gold, Patriot Gold Group's team will work closely with you to help you choose the specific types of gold that align with your investment strategy and your risk tolerance.
And we talked about all the different factors to consider when making those choices, things like liquidity premiums, historical significance, and even personal preference.
Right. They'll use their expertise to help you navigate those options and select the gold products that make the most sense for you.
Once you purchase the gold, where does it actually go? How's it stored?
As we talked about earlier, your gold will be stored securely in a reputable depository like Brinks Global or Delaware Depository.
So you don't have to worry about keeping it safe at home or finding your own secure storage solution.
Exactly. The depository takes care of all of that, the source security insurance, the whole 9 yards. It gives you peace of mind knowing your investment is protected.
Does Patriot Gold Group handle the logistics of getting the gold to the depository?
They do. They'll coordinate the shipping and delivery of your gold to the depository, making sure it's handled securely and efficiently.
So from the initial consultation to the final storage of the gold, Patriot Gold Group is there every step of the way, guiding you, answering questions, and making sure you feel confident and informed.
Exactly. That's their goal. They're not just facilitating transactions, they're building relationships, and they're empowering their clients to take control of their financial future.
We've really covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the ins and outs of gold IRAs. We've taken a close look at Patriot Gold Group and what sets them apart as a provider. But before we wrap up, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about something that's been on my mind. We've talked a lot about the practical side, the services, the logistics, but what about the emotional side of all this?
You're right. That's an important aspect that often gets overlooked. Investing, especially when it comes to retirement planning, it's about more than just numbers and strategies. It's about feeling secure about your future, having peace of mind, and feeling good about the choices you're making.
Exactly. And for a lot of people, retirement is a big life transition. There's uncertainty. There's maybe even some anxiety about what the future holds. So how does Patriot Gold Group handle those emotional aspects of the process?
Well, one thing that really impressed me during our research was the emphasis they put on building trust and long-term relationships with their clients. It's not just about making a sale and moving on. It's about providing that ongoing support and education and really creating a sense of partnership.
Yeah, and a lot of the customer reviews we saw, they mentioned that personal touch, that feeling of being valued and cared for, not just as a client, but as a person.
Exactly. And I think that's especially important when you're dealing with something as important as your retirement savings. You want to work with a company that you feel comfortable with, that you trust, and that, has your best interests at heart.
It's like having a financial advocate in your corner, someone who understands your concerns, your goals, your dreams for the future.
That's a great way to put it. And that's something that really makes Patriot Gold Group stand out. They go above and beyond just providing services. They create a sense of community and support an environment where clients feel empowered and confident in their financial decisions.
Now let's talk about taxes. That's something that always comes up when we talk about retirement planning. How do gold IRAs fit into the big picture of tax planning, and what should people keep in mind?
That's a great question, and one that Patriot Gold Group is well equipped to answer. The tax treatment of a gold IRA is very similar to that of a traditional IRA or a 401k. Your contributions might be tax deductible depending on your income and whether you have a traditional or a Roth Gold IRA.
And then those earnings grow tax deferred, so you don't pay taxes on them until you withdraw the funds in retirement.
That's right. And when you do withdraw those funds, they're taxed as ordinary income.
So in terms of tax advantages, gold IRAs offer similar benefits to other types of retirement accounts.
They do, but it's important to remember that tax laws can change, and it's always a good idea to talk to a tax professional to really understand the specific implications for your situation.
Great advice. It's never a bad idea to seek professional guidance when it comes to taxes. Now, before we wrap up completely, I want to address a question that might be on some of our listeners' minds. We've talked a lot about the positives, but are there any downsides or potential drawbacks to gold IRAs that people should be aware of?
That's a fair question. It's important to have a balanced view of any investment. While gold has historically been a good hedge against inflation and a safe haven during times of economic uncertainty, there's no guarantee of returns. Gold prices can go up and down, and there's always the possibility of losing money.
So it's not a magic bullet. You have to consider your overall investment strategy, your risk tolerance, and your long-term financial goals.
Exactly. Another thing to consider is that gold doesn't generate income the way stocks pay dividends or bonds pay interest. Its value is primarily based on its price appreciation.
So if you're looking for income-generating investments, gold might not be the best fit.
Right, you need to understand how different asset classes work and how they align with your needs. And that's something that Patriot Gold Group's experts can help you figure out during that personalized consultation we talked about earlier.
That brings us to our final thought for today. What's the one key takeaway you would leave our listeners with as they're considering whether a gold IRA is right for them?
I think the most important thing is knowledge is power. Take the time to really learn about gold IRAs, the potential benefits and the risks, and how they might fit into your overall retirement plan.
Don't just jump in because you heard it was a good idea. Do your research, ask questions, and make a decision that's right for you based on your own financial goals and circumstances.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Companies like Patriot Gold Group are there to provide guidance, support, and expertise every step of the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And to help you on that journey, I want to remind everyone one last time about that free checklist we created. It's over at golderablueprint.com exclusive. It's packed with information tips and key questions to ask potential providers. It's a really valuable resource as you navigate the world of gold IRAs.
It's your roadmap to making informed decisions and securing your financial future.
And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into Patriot Gold Group. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you feel empowered and informed to take control of your retirement planning and create a future filled with confidence and peace of mind.